我刚起床，没洗脸，没开美颜的样子。
This morning, when I woke up and looked at myself in the mirror, without washing my face or turning on any beauty filters, I suddenly realized that I might really be aging. I was born in 1988, and I've been single until now, with a master's degree. Although I often tell myself that I'm not worried about finding a husband, and I frequently hear some men say they don't mind my age after seeing my photos with beauty filters, the truth is, it's really difficult to find a truly suitable suitor. Many of my friends around me say that ordinary men don't deserve me. But sometimes, I also wonder if perhaps those men might not even like the way I look without beauty filters. These kinds of thoughts occasionally make me feel anxious, especially when I think about whether my life will become miserable if I stay single like this and grow old. However, for now, all I can do is continue working hard and focus on living my life to the fullest.
我今年36岁，大龄剩女，到现在还没有结婚。
I'm already 36 years old this year, a typical older single woman, and still not married. I increasingly feel that I am slowly getting older. After turning 30, you see, some fine wrinkles have quietly appeared at the corners of my eyes, and a double chin is gradually emerging. Life is really not easy for me right now. At my age, it's indeed very difficult to find a suitable marriage partner. Day after day, I haven't been able to meet the so-called right person. Sometimes, I even think, perhaps I really will grow old alone. I am still single, not because of low emotional intelligence, not because I can't let go of someone, and not because my standards for a partner are too high. I'm actually quite simple. I just understand more clearly what I really want, rather than randomly finding someone to give it a try. After all, the reason for being single isn't entirely because of others. I have many issues myself. For example, I have a rational personality, even to the point of being somewhat strong-willed. Often, I habitually use rationality to override emotions, weighing the pros and cons. When faced with men who are overly chauvinistic or too straight-minded, I often feel an instant sense of annoyance, and may even end the conversation immediately. It could be just one sentence from the other person, or one inappropriate action, and I completely lose interest in continuing the interaction. As a result, starting a relationship has become exceptionally difficult for me. In reality, the life of an older single woman is not as glamorous as the outside world imagines. People often say online that single women can live freely and happily, that it's no big deal if there's no man. But the truth is not like that. In situations like mine, when I get sick, there's really no one to take care of me, and I have to handle everything by myself. At 4:30 in the early morning, I have to get up to bake bread, and then rush to the countryside to set up a stall to earn a living. In the high heat, I work for more than 10 hours a day, and life is extremely tough. Moreover, in recent years, as everyone knows, the overall environment is not very optimistic. There are more people setting up stalls than there are people coming to the market. The unsold bread at the end of the day can only be used to feed the chickens and ducks. Whether it's marriage or starting a business, both are full of challenges for me. I often feel a deep sense of powerlessness, and honestly, life feels incredibly difficult, truly very hard.
5岁的未婚未育的大龄剩女。
I am a 35-year-old unmarried, childless older leftover woman. When I woke up today and looked at myself on the screen, I suddenly felt as if I had aged 10 years overnight. The wrinkles on my forehead had noticeably increased, and I even found a few strands of white hair. In fact, I'm not afraid of getting old, but I am afraid that as I age, no man will want me anymore. Recently, my sleep quality has been getting worse and worse, and I can barely sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. Looking in the mirror, I feel like my nasolabial folds are gradually deepening, my dark circles are becoming more pronounced, and the spots on my face are getting more and more visible. Every night before going to bed, my anxiety always overwhelms me, making it impossible for me to fall asleep all night. I don't know how many more days I have left in the future, but living alone is really too lonely. It feels like every day drags on forever. Today, my eyes are swollen from crying. I often cry silently in the middle of the night, and it seems like no one can understand the loneliness in my heart. What should I do?
服老真的是不行啊，就是你不想服老，但是它事实总会给你证明。
I was born in 1990, and now I'm already 34 years old. I really feel like you can't fight against aging anymore. Even if you don't want to admit that you're getting older in your heart, Reality will always remind you that you're indeed not that young anymore. Why am I saying this? Today, while I was driving, I happened to stop at a red light. I had about 2 minutes, so I thought I'd pick up my phone and take a picture of myself. However, no matter how I took the picture, the result just didn't look good. Actually, I had put on some light makeup, but the photos always gave off this very obvious Dama feeling, and even had a bit of an auntie vibe. That Dama and auntie feeling was particularly noticeable in the pictures. My first reaction at that moment was that, no matter how much you try to maintain a youthful feeling inside on the outside, you just can't look like you're in your 20s anymore. Thinking back to when I was in my 20s, no matter how little I dressed up, photos would always make people feel like I was a young lady. At most, I just looked like someone who didn't know how to dress up. But after turning 30, no matter how much effort you put into your appearance, the photos always carry a sense of not being young anymore. As if there's this unavoidable Dama feeling emanating from you. Now I finally understand why sometimes when I go out to buy something, young girls call me auntie. I used to be quite surprised, thinking, am I really that old? But now I fully accepted it. I have to admit, the fact is, no matter how much I don't want to acknowledge it, I have to accept it. Really, I feel like I'm truly getting old and I'm not young anymore.
41岁的我光荣地成为了老剩女，昨天去相亲了。
I am a 41-year-old woman, proudly labeled as an older leftover woman by societal standards. Yesterday, under the constant pressure from my relatives at home, I reluctantly attended a blind date. My mood was already bad, but when I entered the restaurant and saw the man I was supposed to meet, my displeasure became even harder to suppress. The man before me had a greasy face, thinning hair, and a calculating look in his eyes, which made me feel extremely uncomfortable. We sat there awkwardly, the silence spreading in the air, and I could almost hear the sound of our hearts beating. Finally, the man spoke, breaking the silence. But his first words immediately ignited my anger. At your age, you shouldn't be picky anymore. Just find someone who's decent enough. Don't waste any more time. Let's try to get to know each other. His words stabbed into my heart like a knife, instantly fueling my inner fury. I stared at him and angrily retorted, "How dare you say that to me? I've waited all these years because I have my own standards. I refuse to settle for less. I am not a commodity, so why should I be judged like this?" I continued, even more furious. "You're also a leftover man. What gives you the right to criticize me?" Instead of feeling ashamed, he smirked with a hint of disdain and said, "You really think highly of yourself. You're 41, old and no longer desirable. Even having children could be a problem now. What are you being so choosy about? Do you really think any man would want someone like you? I'm just giving you a friendly reminder." His words made my whole body tremble with anger. I shouted, "You're way out of line. Even if I never find a partner, I would never marry someone like you. Do you think marriage is just a transaction? I have my own life and value. I don't need a man to prove anything. Even if I end up lonely for life, I will not marry just for the sake of marriage." He sneered again and said, "Keep talking tough, but when you get old and are all alone, what will you do? By then, you won't even have a place to cry." I firmly replied, "I won't regret it. I will live life on my own terms, not like you, settling for anyone just to get married. I'd rather live alone forever than give up my principles." The blind date ended with a heated argument. I left angrily, but I had no regrets in my heart. I know that my persistence may bring more pressure and doubt, but I will never compromise. I believe that true happiness is worth waiting for, and even if I face a lifetime of loneliness, I'm not afraid, because I know that only by staying true to my inner beliefs can I find my own path to happiness.
我是91年34岁，没有结婚。
I was born in 1991 and I'm about to turn 34, still single and unmarried. Now, I can increasingly feel that every additional year of age for a woman comes with noticeable signs of aging. All of a sudden, you realize that the fine lines around your eyes have become more pronounced, your face has started to sag and you can't even handle staying up late anymore. In the past, people used to call you little girl, but now they've started calling you big sister. This change makes me feel as if I was once full of youthful vitality, but when I look in the mirror, what I see is someone stepping into middle age. Looking back on the dreams and unfulfilled wishes of the past, I still feel a lot of dissatisfaction and regret. But when I look at the age on my ID card combined with the daily pressures of life and work, I can't help but ask myself, how did I end up like this? Those once fiery passions and expectations seem to have been worn down by reality without me even noticing. Yet life must go on, so I have to take on the responsibilities and burdens that come with this age.
我从来没想过，我这么快就老了。
I never realized that I would age so quickly. Today, when I was doing my makeup, I suddenly found that no matter how much makeup I put on, I could no longer find that pure look on my face. Especially when I smile, the wrinkles at the corners of my eyes are particularly noticeable. To exaggerate a bit, they are deep enough to catch a fly. You see, I used to have no wrinkles at all, but somehow, they quietly appeared without me knowing when they first showed up. I'm already 35 years old, and I'm still single and unmarried. This makes me think of a saying, only good-looking people have youth. For someone with my looks, it seems like I never had youth to begin with. What's more, I've been dealing with acne for almost 10 or even close to 20 years. Now, I've reached middle age, and yet my face still keeps breaking out. Sigh, sometimes I comfort myself by saying that having acne means I'm still young. But every time I see the wrinkles on my face, I am cruelly reminded. I can't take it anymore. I'm really getting old. Let me tell you, once a woman turns 25, she really ages quickly. Whether you believe it or not, I've definitely felt it deeply. So, you must seize the time to enjoy your youth, cherish every moment of it, and don't waste it. Whether you're beautiful or ordinary, your youth is yours and belongs to no one else. You must grasp it and enjoy it to the fullest. As for me, most of my youth was spent in insecurity. I was always troubled by my appearance, so I never really knew what true youth was. I didn't have any beautiful romances, nor do I have any wonderful memories to look back on. Thinking back, all my memories revolve around how to treat my face. There are no romantic or unforgettable moments at all. So, I hope my sisters don't end up like me. While you still don't have gray hair, enjoy life to the fullest, and don't leave any regrets.
我觉得现在如果不用美颜来欺骗我自己，可能我都活不下去。
Recently, I've been feeling really overwhelmed. I realize that without beauty filters, I might not even have the courage to keep going in life. Honestly, I'm already 34 this year, still unmarried and without children. To be frank, beauty filters have become a necessity for us women. Nowadays, if we don't use them, we might not even get a chance to go on blind dates because, in today's social circles, the competition among older single women is too fierce. However, the problem is, once you use beauty filters to get a chance at a blind date, it often ends in vain because the other party's expectations are way too high. After all, beauty filters can usually make someone look at least 20% better than they actually are, and that's being conservative. Some people's appearances after using beauty filters are completely different from their real-life looks, and this kind of discrepancy is truly frustrating. This morning, I had a particularly disheartening blind date experience. The guy pointed out right after we met that my beauty filter effects were completely different from how I looked in person. He even mentioned that my WeChat profile picture was vastly different from reality. Hearing these words, I felt unspeakably sad, but at the same time, I kind of admired him for being so straightforward and honest with me. To prove his point, he even took a full-body photo of me with his phone using the rear camera of an iPhone. According to him, the photo captured exactly how I look in real life. But when I saw the photo, I really felt like I was going to break down. In the picture, my face looked particularly large, my body appeared short and fat, and the overall image made me look old and haggard. I just couldn't accept that this was me. Afterwards, I started seeking confirmation about the photo's authenticity, asking a lot of people. First, I asked my friends and my besties. Some of them gently told me that the photo was pretty close to how I look in real life, which made me feel even worse. My besties, however, out of kindness, didn't want to hurt my feelings, so they insisted that the photo didn't look like me at all. They even said that the people in those photos always look bigger and fatter, and the pictures were totally distorted. Honestly, I can no longer tell who is telling the truth and who is just trying to comfort me. Later on, I thought of a neutral judge, so I asked the driver who was giving me a ride, since he and I were strangers with no personal interests involved. He wouldn't lie to me, right? He took one look at the photo and said that it looked pretty much like me in real life. This statement completely shattered me because even a stranger said so. I really feel like I'm falling apart. I now feel that, although beauty filters can give me temporary confidence and comfort, in reality, they are probably deceiving me more, distorting my perception of the real world.
And since I'm still single, I really don't know what to do.
Many older unmarried women still haven't figured out the greatest meaning and value they hold as women in relationships and marriage. The reason they haven't understood this is because they've been brainwashed by a so-called poisonous chicken soup mindset. This poisonous chicken soup ideology was essentially invented by capitalism. It tells women, you are independent women of the new era. You need to work hard, make lots of money, and constantly improve yourself to become excellent. So you can find a tall, rich, and handsome man or a domineering CEO, just like in the TV dramas. Why does capitalism promote this? The reason is quite simple. Only by brainwashing women this way can capitalism better exploit them and make them work for it. After all, if all women were having children and focusing on being housewives, who would be there to work for them? So, on the one hand, capitalism films so-called movies and TV dramas. And on the other hand, it uses these productions to instill this ideology in women, telling them that only by becoming independent and excellent can they find an excellent man. As a result, many women begin to believe that the more excellent they become, the higher their education, the more money they make, and even if they could buy their own house and car, the more likely they are to find an ideal partner. However, they overlook one of the most important natural laws. Why do males and females exist in nature and the animal kingdom? This fundamentally serves to clarify the division of labor. In marriage, what is the purpose of a man marrying a woman? Is it to find a so-called soulmate or someone they get along with? If that's the case, then why get married? Dating alone would be enough. In fact, as male animals, the fundamental purpose of men marrying women is to carry on the family line. If a woman is older and has missed the prime childbearing years, no matter how excellent she is, her value in marriage will be significantly reduced. This doesn't mean that the woman herself has no value, but in the eyes of men, she no longer holds practical value in marriage. Unfortunately, many women simply don't understand this. I know many such women. They are busy with work every day, ignoring their age and marital responsibilities. By the time they are in their 30s, or even close to 40, they still think they are quite excellent, completely unaware of what their core value as women truly is. By the time they realize it, it may already be too late, and they will regret it deeply. The so-called excellence of these women is merely what they believe to be excellence. The real excellence is whether they are matched with men's standards of excellence. Excellence in marriage refers to the ability to carry on the family line, which is completely different from the I am excellent concept they believe in. However, whenever the topic of childbearing is brought up, they claim it's an insult to women and emphasize that as modern women, they don't necessarily have to have children. It's this kind of thinking that has poisoned them so deeply that they refuse to fulfill the most basic reproductive function of being a woman. In this case, it's natural that no men would want to marry them. So, they can only live alone. And of course, men won't choose them. I even now believe that extreme feminist ideologies may ultimately lead to more women choosing not to have children. One major reason is that many women have been spoiled from a young age and lack the necessary moral education as women, leading them to become too selfish and unwilling to take on the responsibilities of marriage, particularly the responsibilities of childbearing and raising children. Some of these women subconsciously don't want to have children, so they feel it doesn't matter if they are older. They only think about finding a man to support them. However, while men may not always be emotionally intelligent, they are not stupid. They may date you, but when it comes to real marriage, if you cannot have children, most men will not be willing to marry you. So, friends watching this, what do you think about these issues? Let's discuss it together. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.